What if I told you that one of the strongest predictors of your productive day is not your IQ, your education, or even your morning coffee, but whether you complete a task that takes less than 2 minutes? Think about it. In an age where artificial intelligence can write essays, where people spend hours optimizing productivity systems, and where millions are searching for life changing breakthroughs, the habit that quietly separates momentum from chaos might be something embarrassingly simple: making your bed. A few years ago, a video of a Navy Admiral giving a commencement speech exploded across the internet. The speaker was William H. McRaven, and the message seemed almost too simple to matter. It resonated with millions because it addressed a modern problem most people never admit. We don't usually fail because we are incapable. We fail because our days slowly drift off course through dozens of tiny neglected actions. In his book, Make Your Bed, McRaven shares lessons forged through brutal Navy SEAL training. But this is not really a military book. It's a book about resilience, discipline, and navigating uncertainty when life refuses to follow your plans. In this documentary, we will discover why small victories matter more than motivation, why comfort can secretly weaken you, and why some of the strongest people in the world embrace failure differently than everyone else. Most people never discover these lessons because they are constantly searching for dramatic transformations while ignoring the tiny habits that create them. Here are the 13 game changing insights from Make Your Bet. Point number 2: small wins create big momentum. The first lesson is that small wins are never actually small. Every morning you wake up with a psychological momentum waiting to move in one direction to another. Most people assume motivation creates action, but research increasingly suggests the opposite. Action often creates motivation. Imagine two people waking up on the same Monday. One scrolls social media before leaving bed, observing anxiety, comparison, and endless distractions. The other completes a simple task immediately. Their room suddenly feels more organized. Their brain receives evidence that their day has already begun successfully. Tiny difference, massive consequences. Think of it like pushing a stalled car. The hardest part is not maintaining momentum, it's generating the first inch. Making your bed functions as that first inch. It signals completion, order, and intention. The misconception is that success requires dramatic effort. In reality, the human brain loves evidence. Every completed action reinforces an identity. You stop saying, I want to be disciplined, and start proving that you are already are. And once you understand the power of small victories, you begin seeing other growth. Nobody succeeds alone. Next, you can't ring the bell alone. The second insight is that resilience is often a team sport. During SEAL training, recruits faced exciting challenges that would have been impossible without relying on others. Modern culture celebrates self-made success stories, but almost every meaningful achievement involves unseen support systems. Think about a startup founder. People see the successful company. They rarely see the spouse handling stress at home, the mentor providing advice, or the friend who encouraged persistence during the darkest moments. Psychologists call this social buffering. When people feel supported, their stress response becomes more manageable. The challenge itself does not necessarily sink, but their ability to handle it grows. A common mistake is believing independence means refusing help. Real strength is knowing when collaboration multiplies your capabilities. Imagine climbing a mountain, carrying everything yourself sounds heroic until exhaustion forces you to stop halfway. Sharing the load is not weakness, it's efficiency. And once you understand the value of support, another challenge emerges: dealing with the people who actively try to pull you down. Ignore the sugar cookies. One of McRaven's most memorable lessons comes from a punishment called becoming a sugar cookie. Recruits would get soaked, roll in sand, and spend the day dirty and uncomfortable regardless of how well they performed. The insight is simple: life is not always fair. In today's world, unfairness appears everywhere. Someone less qualified gets promoted, a medical video goes viral while your carefully crafted work gets ignored, markets crash, opportunities disappear. Most people waste enormous energy arguing with reality. They become emotionally trapped in what should have happened rather than responding to what actually happened. Economists call this sunk costing thinking. We cling to expectations because we invested emotionally in them. A stronger response is adaptation, not resignation. Adaptation. Picture a GPS recalculating after the missed return. It does not spend 20 minutes complaining about the wrong exit. It immediately finds another route. When you stop demanding fairness from life, you gain something far more valuable, flexibility. And flexibility becomes essential when the storms inevitably arrive. Point number 5. Life's storms are guaranteed. The next lesson is that adversity is not exception to life. It's a part of operating system. Most people build plans assuming ideal conditions. They create schedules, goals, and expectations based on a future where everything works perfectly. Then reality arrives. A health scare, a layoff, a business setback, a broken relationship. What separates resilient people is not avoidance of storms, it's preparation for them. Neuroscience offers an interesting perspective. When people repeatedly overcome manageable challenges, their brains become more confident handling future uncertainty. Stress, when properly managed, acts like resistance training for the mind. Imagine training for a marathon only on flat ground. The first hill destroys your rhythm. Life works similarly. Small changes prepare you for larger ones. The surprising insight is that comfort is not always your friend. Constant comfort can leave you fragile. This does not mean seeking suffering for its own sake. It means recognizing that difficulty often contains hidden preparation. And that preparation becomes crucial because sometimes success depends on how you perform when nobody is watching. Next point number 6, character is revealed in the dark. One of the most powerful themes in the book is that integrity matters most when there is no audience. Today, people carefully manage public images. Social media allows us to showcase accomplishments, opinions, and curated lifestyles. Yet, character is rarely tested during public moments. It tested during private decisions. Do you keep promises to yourself? Do you finish what you started when nobody will know if you quit? Think of character like software running in the background. You don't notice it during normal operations, but under pressure it determines everything. Psychologists refer to this as self-concordance. The more aligned your actions are with your values, the stronger your internal stability becomes. Many people assume confidence creates discipline. Often it's the reverse. Discipline creates confidence because every kept promise becomes evidence of reliability. And once you will build that reliability, you gain the courage to confront another uncomfortable truth. Failure is unavoidable. Next point number 7. Failure is a teacher, not a verdict. The next insight surprised many readers because it challenges conventional success narratives. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's often the prerequisite. In sea training, even elite performers experienced setbacks. The goal was not perfection, the goal was recovery. Look at modern innovation. Most breakthrough companies emerged from multiple failed experiments. The final product receives headlines. The discovered prototype disappear into history. Our brain learns differently from mistakes than from easy victories. Error correction strengthens neural pathways in ways passive success often cannot. Imagine learning to ride a bicycle. Falling is not evidence you should not ride. Falling is evidence you are learning balance. The dangerous misconception is believing failure defines identity. It does not. Failure defines an event. You failed at a project, you are not a failure. That distinction changes everything. People who recover fastest from setbacks view mistakes as information. They extract lessons instead of extracting shame. And when you stop fearing failure, you become capable of something even rare, taking meaningful risk. Next point number 8. Take risk before you feel ready. Another lesson from the book is that courage often arrives after reaction, not before it. Many people wait for certainty. They want complete confidence before starting a business, changing careers, launching a channel, or having difficult conversation. The problem certainty rarely comes. Think about astronauts, entrepreneurs, or explorers throughout history. None possessed complete information. They moved despite uncertainty. Behavioral scientists call this action bias. Movement generates clarity. Waiting often generates anxiety. Imagine standing at the edge of the cold swimming pool, thinking about the jump increases discomfort, jump ends the debate. The counter-inactive reality is that courage is not fearlessness. Courage is functioning while fear is present. McRaven's experiences repeatedly reinforce this principle. Progress often requires stepping into situations where success is not guaranteed. And when enough people act courageously together, they create something larger than individual achievement hope. Point number 9. Hope is practical, not naive. Many people misunderstood hope. They treat it as wishful thinking. McRaven represents a different vision. Hope is a strategic resource. During extreme circumstances, people who maintain hope often outperform those with greater talent but weaker belief. Why? Because hope influences behavior. When you believe improvement is possible, you continue acting. When believe outcomes are fixed, effort disappears. Think of a financial investing. People invest because they believe future returns are possible. Without hope, economic systems collapse. The same principle applies psychologically. Hope is not ignoring reality, it's refusing to let reality become permanent in your mind. One fascinating finding from positive psychology is that optimistic people frequently recover faster after setbacks because they interpret events differently. They see obstacles as temporary rather than permanent. That mindset becomes even more powerful when paired with another lesson, standing up for others. Next point number 10, stand up for the underdog. The next insight is that leadership begins long before you achieve a title. In the book, McRaven emphasizes defending people who cannot defend themselves. This principle feels especially relevant in a world where online criticism spreads faster than empathy. Real leadership is not dominating a room, it's creating safety within it. Imagine a workplace meeting where everyone silently agrees with a flawed idea. One person respectfully challenges it. That individual may appear disruptive in the moment, but they protect the entire group from future consequences. Social psychologists call this moral courage. The fascinating thing about courage is that it's contagious. One act often inspires another. Many people assume leadership is about influence. In practice, leadership is often about responsibility. The strongest leaders don't ask, how can I look important? They ask, who needs support right now? And that perspective naturally leads to another lesson, staying calm under pressure. Point number 11, stay calm when everyone else panics. One of the rarest skills in modern life is emotional steadiness. News cycles move faster than ever. Markets fluctuate. Algorithms reward outrage. Panic has become profitable. McRaven repeatedly demonstrated that crises demand clarity, not chaos. Imagine being on an airplane experiencing turbulence. If the flight attendant remains calm, passengers relax. If the flight attendant panics, fear spreads instantly. Human beings constantly borrow emotional signals from those around them. Neuroscientists link this phenomenon to mirror neurons, which help us unconsciously mimic emotional states. The misconception is that calmness means suppressing emotions. It doesn't. Calmness means remaining functional despite emotions. A composed person still feels fear. They simply refuse to surrender decision making to it. And maintaining composure becomes essential because eventually every meaningful mission reaches a momentum where quitting seems easier. Point number 12, perseverance beyond the breaking point. The 12th insight is that human limits are often irreversible. The most people quit at the first sign of discomfort. Some quit at the second. A small percentage continue long enough to discover they were nowhere near their actual limits. Researchers studying endurance have proposed that the brain often acts as a protective governor, encouraging us to stop before we are truly incapable. Think about finishing a difficult workout. The moment you want to quit and the moment you are physically unable to continue are often very different. The same principle applies to careers, relationships, and creative projects. Persistence is not glamorous, it rarely turns online. It's answering one more email, writing one more page, making one more sales call. McRaven's message is not that endurance solves every problem, it's that many breakthroughs occur after most people would have already stopped. And if perseverance teaches us anything, it's that perspective matters more than circumstances. Next point number 13, never lose sight of purpose. The final core insight is that purpose transforms effort into meaning. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. With purpose, discipline becomes investment. Picture two people carrying identical loads uphill. One believes the burden is pointless. The other knows it supports someone they love. Some weight, completely different experiences. Purpose acts as a psychological multiplier. Studies constantly show that the people with a strong sense of meaning often demonstrate greater resilience, health, and persistence. The modern challenge is distraction. Attention is fragmented across notification platforms and endless information streams. Purpose cuts through noise. It answers a crucial question: why am I doing this? And once you have that answer, daily actions become easier to sustain because they connect to something larger than immediate comfort, which brings us to deeper patterns hidden beneath all 13 lessons. Next, point number 14, how the lessons fit together. What makes make your breath powerful is not single insight. It's how each lesson reinforces the others. Making your bed creates momentum. Momentum helps you act courageously. Courage enables risk taking. Risk taking inevitably produces failure. Learning from failure builds resilience. Resilience prepares you for life storms. Surviving storms strengthens purpose. Purpose fuels discipline. And discipline makes the next small win easier. It's a self reinforcing loop. Notice that none of these ideas depend on extraordinary talent. That's one reason the book resonated so widely. The framework is accessible and advanced implemented strategy is what I call the momentum stack. Start each morning with one small, all complete task, one uncomfortable action, and one meaningful action connected to your long term purpose. This combines discipline, courage, and purpose simultaneously. A second strategy is storm rehearsal. Once a week, voluntarily do something difficult, cold exposure, or challenging workout, a difficult conversation, or deep focused work without distractions, or training adaptability before adversity arises. Some people object that this doesn't sound overly simple. That's precisely the point. Simple does not mean easy. The fundamentals are often overlooked because they are not exciting. Yet history repeatedly shows that people who master fundamentals outperform those constantly searching for shortcuts. And that brings us to the key takeaway. Finally, if there's one message running through every page of Make Your Bet, it's these extraordinary leaves are usually built from ordinary actions repeated constantly. The first major takeaway is that small wins create massive momentum. The second is that resilience grows through adversity, not avoidance. And the third is that purpose gives meaning to discipline when motivation disappears. Here's your challenge. Before you go to sleep tonight, identify one tiny action that future you will appreciate tomorrow morning. Then complete it immediately after waking up. Not next week. Not when motivation appears tomorrow. Because transformation rarely announces itself with fireworks. More often, it arrives discussed as a simple decision repeated over and over until your identity begins to change. Years from now, your future may not be shaped by one dramatic breakthrough. It may be shaped by hundreds of seemingly insignificant choices that quickly accumulated into a different life. If this documentary gave you a new perspective, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment below what's one small habit that changed your life. And in our next video, we will explore another timeless self-development classic that completely redefines how success is created behind the scenes. Thank you.